thinking about broadcasting my last baseball game, which at times was almost incomprehensible to me. It was hard for me to come to grips with that part of it, but the retirement thing was an easy thing for me to do because there are places I want to go and things I want to do with Amanda, and I'm healthy, and but that doesn't make the departure any less easy, or any more easy, I should say. I'm proud to say I'm a Cincinnatian, and for those who are here today and for those who are listening wherever they might be, just know how much you're loved. Ed? And how much you're appreciated. That's all I got.
What a sign-off.
We wanted to play that.
What a sign-off.
Yeah. That was an incredible hour of radio, and thank you, Jonathan. Good morning, everyone. Saturday, April 4, 2026. I'm Peter Boyles. Saturday, weather 64. Tomorrow, Easter 70 and 67 on Monday. I'll read this and we'll go to the guest. Thank you for a wonderful visit with Marty. Grew up listening to him from Mansfield, Ohio, during the Big Red Machine. Such memories.
It is such memories.
It's good stuff.
I mean, there were so many historical moments there, and because of my friendship with Marty, he was able to get me a one-on-one interview with Pete Rose in the dugout before one game, which was incredible.
Did you like him?
I grew up idolizing Pete Rose. I've got scars on my elbows. I was number 14. I was a switch hitter. He was a hard man to get to know because he was all business, all baseball. But here's my favorite Pete Rose story. I was there the night that he broke Ty Cobb's record, kept a score sheet, booked down to the media room right after it happened. I'm about 9 feet away from him as he's doing his talk. When he wrapped up, I went up to him and I go, "Hey, Pete, I know this is unprofessional, but I kept a score sheet."
He signed it.
He signed it. So I got to have one of the first autographs of Pete Rose after breaking Ty Cobb's record. But this was a guy that was all baseball all the time.
So when the show started this morning, we were talking about a really interesting candidate who seems to be getting a lot of attention, gubernatorial hopeful, the Republican Party, and this guy's name is Victor Marx. Please say good morning. You going to bring her up? Welcome to the show. She's clearly the front runner. She got everybody's nod. And I listened to her on another radio station talking about Victor. This is Barb Kirkmeyer. Barb, I know you know Jonathan. I don't think you and I have ever met, but thanks for coming on the show. And do we say good afternoon? Is it past 12? Yeah, we say now.
It is here, yeah.
Good afternoon and happy Easter. And thanks for doing this.
Well, thank you so much. I think we met a long time ago, but appreciate that I get to be back on your show and have a discussion with y'all.
And you're kind, and I know you know Jonathan. So
yeah, hi, Barb. Thanks for being on.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I got to begin at the beginning. I think it's important to slow this guy Victor Marx down, and in terms of what he is or is not, seems to be the will of the wisp. No one seems to be able to put a jacket on this guy. I turn it over to you. He's at least he's competing. What do we know about him, and what do you know, and how do you feel about all of this?
Well, I'm not actually sure that he's competing. If you won't do forums and don't think we're all good enough that you should come and debate and do forums with us, then I don't really consider you competing. He compared my campaign style, or compared me to, quite frankly, a bunch of really great elected officials that got elected in the 90s. Yet, I've compared him and his campaign to more of a Joe Biden, stay in your basement, don't go talk to anybody, and hope you get elected. See how that worked out. So, so that's, I don't really know that much about Victor Marx other than what I've read about him or I've seen, on social media, which isn't necessarily all that good in my book. But what I do know is he does not have the resume that I have. He does not have the experience, the proven track record, the conservative proven track record that I have, and he doesn't even compare to it. So that's what I know.
Yeah, I agree with that. And what's really interesting, again, the Republicans have a way of wanting a big bus full of people. So you've got a really crowded field. He does kind of suck the oxygen out of the room because there is all this talk about him, and nobody really knows for sure either way. How else are you cutting through the clutter of having such a crowded field?
So for me, I went out and actually got signatures myself, also paid for some, but went through the petition process to get onto the ballot, which, I think, as you know, Jonathan, you have to go get, in a statewide race, you have to get 1,500 good verified signatures from Republicans in each congressional district, which there are 8. So I got more than enough, 1,500. I went out and did, with both my daughters, we went out walking and knocking and talking to folks. And then, like I said, a majority of them, I haven't been trying to hide it or anything, but a majority of them this time, I did go out and pay for those as well. In the past, I usually didn't do that. Just went and got my petitions and talked to folks because it's a great way to really build that grassroots momentum and just hear from people what's out there. But for me, 20 people I don't know, I heard the other day it's like 432, which is being facetious. But there's a lot of people that are on the Republican ballot, and, you have to get 30% of the delegates to be able to move on and get onto the ballot. And I've been busy. I've been busy doing my job as a state senator, as a member of the Joint Budget Committee, and knew I wasn't going to have time to work the delegates, but I did have time to go out on weekends and walk and talk to folks.
Barbara, it's Peter Boyles. We'll come back to Victor if we can, but the Colorado Republican Party chair has resigned over, she says, threats of violence and blackmail. Barbara Kirkmeyer, Britta Horn, has submitted her letter of resignation, and she states that she's been honored to serve, but she said about these pressures, the divide, and she said attempted blackmail and threats of violence in a mainstream political party. Do you, number one, buy that? Number two, if so, then what?
I don't know about the blackmail. I don't know about that personally, but I have seen the way that she's been treated. I've seen the way that other Republicans have been treated, quite frankly.
Right.
Just over the course of the last 2 or 3 years, I myself kind of got into it with the former chair, who, I merely was standing up for Republicans in our party and who were making good sense and said, hey, let's figure out how we move together and move forward together and how we start working along. And, I echoed this person's statement, and, man, then I get attacked.
Yeah.
And, I've been called all sorts of names, and even just recently, over the course of the last few months, I had individuals, let me even back up, even as a county commissioner during COVID, we had individuals that were threatening us as county commissioners during COVID and literally showing up to my house and to both of my daughters' homes. So, I've got the sheriff on speed dial, basically, but because I live out in the country.
Wait a minute, came to your daughter's house?
Yeah.
Both of them.
To do what?
Because to try and bully, threaten, intimidate, I don't know, but you just don't know. But even just recently, I had an individual who I think is a Republican. I'm not really sure, but I think is a Republican. Basically put out pictures of where my home is, took it off the Weld County property portal, put it out there, and put out some threatening messages on Twitter, on a Twitter account. And it's like, whoa. So, I've got to get involved. The State Patrol, the first thing I do is I call my sheriff because he's a friend of mine at Steve Rames. And I call him and say, here's what's happening. Here's what was on Twitter. What do I do? He's like, you got somebody at State Patrol, let them know. We'll keep a watch. And all that kind of stuff. And
It's insane.
It's just ridiculous that as elected officials or as Republicans, we have to worry about any kind of threats or bullying or intimidation, but especially when it's from our own party. So I've seen the way they've treated Britta. It's horrible. It is not respectable. It's not civil. The vitriol is horrible. And, quite frankly, I don't blame her.
Yeah, and Barb, we had the same thing. It was Deborah running for the Congress. We received death threats. We received all this hate mail, etc. And the comment one time when she was asked by a reporter, what's it like fighting the Democrats? She goes, I'll let you know when I fight a Democrat. Right now, all the wounds we have is in my back. And it's amazing that we've got this very small but very loud group that if you are not in lockstep with them, they believe in character assassination and that you must be destroyed. And you can't be a conservative and be a mandatory individual that you have to have everything fall in lockstep with them or else you have to go away. And realizing that even a bad Republican is better than a Democrat.
They don't think that way.
No, they do not. What do you think of just the stage of the Republican Party right now in the state? And now Joe Altman said that he's going to run. And I think Eric Grossman was just voted in as first vice chair.
Yes.
What's the state of the Republican Party in Colorado?
Oh, it's in total disarray. And that's another reason why I just went and got signatures and we'll bypass the assembly process. To me, it's in total disarray. And, I wish, the other folks who are running, good luck going through the assembly. I think the votes will be challenged if the delegates who are there don't think that's the person that they wanted to get elected or get placed on the ballot. It's placed on the ballot. I think they'll challenge everything. I think it could be an appeal process. I don't know. I just think it's total disarray. And I just think there are a lot of people that are in our party, the Republican Party, that need to remember that we do have a platform. And I've been a precinct committee person for basically the last 30 years for the most part. And, there are those basic principles as Republicans that we believe in, and that's what we should go fight with. And they're grounded in the Constitution. And that's where, my values are at. Somebody asked me the other day, what's one thing you won't compromise? And I thought, this is easy, the Constitution.
There it is.
And so, we all need to remember that. The Second Amendment is important, but the First Amendment is the First Amendment for a reason as well, and it's just as important along with the other, I think, 27 or 28 amendments in that Constitution. So, yeah, I just think we've got a lot to work on. Great
historians have said the first remains because of the second, which I thought was one of the smartest things I'd read.
Absolutely.
The Colorado State Republican Party is struggling now, and you, if I recall correctly, and I did read your bio last night, you came on board with Bill Owens. Is that true? Yeah.
Yeah.
What has happened to Colorado since Bill Owens was governor? And he was the last governor that was a Republican. What's happened to the state, and where are they now, and what am I watching happen?
I'm telling you, our state is a mess. Over the course of the last 7 years with this administration, which, by the way, is the worst managed administration that I've been around. I mean, the worst. I get asked about, what's the worst department that you think is, managed or mismanaged or corrupt, and I say whichever one's in front of me that day at the Joint Budget Committee, because they're all that bad. So it's just, it's just a mess. We're unaffordable, we're unsafe, we're unraveling, our roads are crumbling. And we're not going to get any better until we get rid of this one-party control. The Democrats have control in the majority in the House, majority in the Senate, and then they have the governor's office, and they can run any bill they want, they can do anything they want, and they can get it passed. It takes a lot of work, I know, because I've been doing it for the last 6 years now. No, 4 or 5 years, whatever we're on. I don't remember what year I'm in. But for the last 5 years, and there are things that I've been able to accomplish, even in a dysfunctional legislature where the majority is the Democrats. But, I've been able to work across the aisle and go work on things like cutting taxes, cutting regulations, balancing our budget, ensuring that we fund education as required under the Constitution, all of those things. So those are things that I'm, again, got this proven track record that none of the other candidates in this race have.
Yeah, and that's a great point that you brought up, Barb. The people on the sidelines that are throwing the stones, when a bill gets passed or you vote on a bill that does go through, what they don't understand is that bill was much worse when it was first proposed. And you guys are at least able to whittle it down to where it's going to do the least amount of damage possible.
That's right, Jonathan. And I'm just going to point out even about the budget, because I get tagged all the time because I do vote for the budget because I am one of 6 people in the state of Colorado. So one of 6 out of, 6 million or so in the state of Colorado that actually write the budget for the state. But I have to work with a majority of Democrats. So, yeah, I don't get everything I want out of that budget. I don't get all the cuts I want. But you know what? It's one step at a time. I am not an all-or-nothing person. If I can figure out how to move us forward in a positive way for the people that I'm serving, then I'm going to do that. And like I said, the budget, I vote for it. A lot of my Republican colleagues do not, and I'm thinking, how do you justify that? The Constitution, 1, requires we have a balanced budget. The Constitution, number 2, requires that we fund education. We have to fund the judicial system. We have to fund the Department of Corrections. So when you're voting no, you're saying you don't even think we should have core government functions. And I think as a Republican, government is supposed to do those things for people which they can't do for themselves. And those are 3 things that they can't do for themselves, and we need to fund.
Barbara, this is Peter again.
Yeah.
Do some regression analysis. How did we get here? And that's important to know where you are and where you're headed is where you've been. and that's why you, of course, study history. But what I'm amazed at is how quickly it went. Hemingway said it about going broke, and he said it goes slow at first, and then it just happens. And so now we're where we are, and we're seeing what we're seeing. But I'm looking at the Republican Party, and we've been over this hundreds of times. It's a firing squad in a circle, and I say that about like crabs in a pot. One crab starts to literally get out, and the other crabs grab the crab and pull the crab back in. Mm-hmm. The things that are said about you are far worse said by Republicans than said by Democrats. And then we have Victor Marx, who they don't even seem to want to know anything at all about. Denial, of course, is not a river in Egypt, as somebody once said. But here's this lead candidate that these people claim to love, and they know nothing about. Mm-hmm. That's a question in there somewhere. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I think the Republican Party dropped the ball. We certainly took our eye off the ball and probably got hit in the head with it, quite frankly. But to use a different analogy, we became very myopic in our vision. We became very eccentric about it. Really, almost even to the point of being self-righteous. That again, like you said at the very beginning, if we all don't agree 100%, then the person who's not agreeing, there must be something wrong with them. Sometimes disagreement brings about better solutions, quite frankly. It makes people think of thing. But that's what happened. We just kept losing a couple of seats here, a couple of seats there. Before you know it, we're in the minority. Before you know it, we're in a super minority. So I think we dropped the ball. We got very myopic in our vision as a Republican Party. And, even right now, unaffiliates are saying that our party, not just our party, but even the Democrat Party, it's close to 60% of them, at least in the polling that I've seen, are saying, look, we're going the wrong direction. And they're not just talking about Democrats. They're talking about Republicans and Democrats. But you're correct with regard to Victor Marx. The things that I've seen about him on social media and other places, and even heard him say about himself, it's like, what? Seriously?
Let me set this question up, and then we'll break and come back.
Okay.
Elections are won in the middle. Everybody knows it. And these folks that we're talking about don't seem to want to mandate that. Elections are won in the middle. If you don't win, you can't rule. So what hope do these people have in a stalking horse, which I think the guy is? I think he's more than that. But I want you to come back to that, and elections being won in the middle. And then we have John Brooks, but he'll be with us a little later in the hour, and we'll take the pause. Jonathan and myself, 710 KNUS Denver's Talk Station, 64 sunny. Tomorrow Easter is 70. Monday back to work, 67, sunny and dry. It's yours.
Your 710 KNUS forecast on this Saturday is a nice one with sunny skies today, highs near 65. Clear tonight, lows in the middle 30s. Sunny for your Easter Sunday, highs in the upper 60s with overnight lows in the mid 30s. Monday, sunshine all around, highs near 65 with afternoon showers. Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. I'm day weather meteorologist Patrice Sutter in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
What a great morning, huh? Merle Haggard and the Strangers. Huh? That's Johnny Paycheck. John Austin Paycheck. That's right. Mama Tried. There's a chopper show called Mama Tried. I saw a guy, I was with the late Bob Cote, and we would go out to county jails, and if you had an alcohol-related or drug-related charge, and you didn't have any sex or violence charges, you could do your time in step and work on sobriety. There's a kid out there, and he had a tattoo on his arm that said, Mama Tried. I thought that was great. It is Johnny Paycheck. Apologies. You wanted to say something. I'll talk about capitalist. We'll wrap it up, and then we have another guest. So
that sounds great. I just want to let people know that this coming Tuesday, April 7th, Douglas County Citizenry is going to be having a forum with the two candidates that are running for county commissioner. It's Job Brockhammer and also John Diak. It's going to be moderated by Mandy Connell and Ryan Schuling. But we wanted to let everybody know that it's coming up again April 7th at 6 o'clock, and it's at the North Star Academy. And that's going to be, once again, a chance for voters to come up, be informed, and hear from their candidates for county commissioner.
Bingo. Dan Capless Law Firm, and if you want your case to be taken seriously, you should choose a law firm that is taken seriously, and of course, Danny is. I've known Dan forever, and Dan Capless Law, a real trial firm, and proves that the truth is when the insurance carrier doesn't want to pay, Danny will step in. And again, Capless, the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 11 straight seven-figure jury verdicts, including a record $205 million verdict for a wrongful death case, the largest truck crash jury verdict in Colorado history. Danny's my longtime friend. He came to rescue on my family. Dan's law firm, serious firm for serious cases. They accept righteous injury and death cases on a percentage fee basis, no upfront fees, no charge for initial consultations. Now Danny has offices. This speaks volumes on success. Denver, Greeley, Loveland, and Fort Collins. If you want your case to be taken seriously, call Dan 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit Capless Law, Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S law.com. Our guest online, bring her up if you would, please. Barb Kirkmeyer's here. We've been talking this morning earlier about Victor Marx, and we're talking about the run and what's happening to the Republican Party. And I read a lengthy piece about what's going on inside of the party, and Britta Horn claiming that she was threatened several different ways, and this is an adult party. I don't buy what's going on, and of course the arrival of Victor Marx, and elections are one in the middle. Barb, there's a question, as I said, in there somewhere, if you would please.
Yeah, you asked me what's been going on with our party. I'm just going to take us and when this all started. Let's go right on back to 2010.
Okay.
That's when I think the death spiral started. We had Dan Mays. Again, nobody really knew a whole lot about him. He came on with the whole Tea Party movement kind of thing. You know, everybody thought, oh, this is going to be great. Well, not everybody, obviously. And things just kind of started spiraling out of control to the point where we had such a soft ticket that, you know, especially at the top of the ticket, he barely got 11% of the vote. If we'd have gone below 10%, our party would have been a minority party. Wouldn't even been able to be considered a major party.
That was Tom. That was Tom Tancredo.
Yes,
yeah.
Tom Tancredo came on
as
a constitutional party candidate and ended up taking, I don't know, close to 39 or something percent. But you know, and Victor Marx is a lot like Dan Mays. What did we really know about Dan Mays? And all of a sudden he's our nominee, and we get 10% or 11% of the vote in a general election. I mean, Victor Marx isn't anywhere prepared for a general election. You know, the guy likes to, I don't know, this is probably not going to sound nice, but kind of mouth off a lot. I mean, I can be kind of a smart mouth myself, so I can say that.
Well,
but, you know, he likes to say a lot of things. But, you know, if he's really true about the party, I have not heard him once talk about unity after the party. Like, if he doesn't win, after the primary, if he doesn't win, is he going to support us all? Is he going to back us all? Because he's certainly out there raising money while I've been working, doing my joint budget committee stuff and writing that budget. And is he going to, you know, like I have done in the past, put your money back in, the money that you've raised, put it back into the party, put it back into candidates, go out and support Republicans? Or is he going to put that in his, you know, nonprofit organization and just, is he out there raising money for himself?
This is Peter saying this. What's your best guess? I mean, we had Ryan with us this morning, and Jonathan and I have talked about this, and I've listened to many, many people speak who don't need their names on the air. But do you think that he's going to fold the tent?
If he doesn't win the primary, or if he doesn't get on the ballot?
If he doesn't get on the ballot.
I think he folds his tent, and I think he brings all that money into himself.
That's my question.
And into his own nonprofit. Because I just haven't seen where he has. Look, you're going to have John Brooks on next.
Yep.
You should ask him about his granddaughter. He just had a new grandchild born premature. He's shown pictures. You know, we've all been out on the campaign circuit, talking to each other, getting to know each other, committing to that we would support whoever wins in that primary.
Yeah.
Haven't heard that from Victor Marks. Haven't heard him say he's going to go out and work his tail off for Republicans if he doesn't win the primary. All the rest of us have said that.
And that's why that is so critical about growing the tent. And again, as we talked earlier, Barb, you can't be a conservative and an authoritarian. And we're seeing that now in the demographics of the Colorado state, that we're now basically what's called a yellow state. They realize the Democrats have no good ideas. The Republicans are totally dysfunctional. And so they're more and more registering as unaffiliates. And that's that middle that Peter's talking about.
When my rabbi, my guru for the longest time has been Dean Singleton, and we have dinners together and we talk on the phone. We're at a dinner, Dean and I, and Dean said to me, there's no better time right now for the state of Colorado to take or to get or receive a Republican governor than as we speak, than right now. The problem is, ... And then he went into the whole soliloquy about some of these people and how destructive they are by nature. So, I mean, it really is. I mean, what is to come?
Well, again, there are at least 20 people on the Republican side in this race. I've met most of them, had good conversations with all of them, and we've all pledged that regardless of who's on the ballot, regardless of who wins, whoever that is, we will get behind them and we will help them out and we will go out and campaign for them. And, you know, having 20 people on that ballot, everybody makes fun of it, but at the same time, I want you to start thinking about how many more people they've been getting engaged. You know, people are like, wow, there's so many. But think how many more people they're bringing to our party. And let's show them the good face, the good side of our party. Let's stop this backbiting, threatening, intimidation, bullying mentality that's been going on. Right. We need to stop the name calling. And let's start having a party that remembers we're here about, personal responsibility, fiscal conservatorship. Government is only there for those things that you can't do for yourself, that we believe in limited government. We're going to protect Tabor. We're going to stand up and back the blue, those types of things. Those are what our party is about. That's what I stand for. That's who I am as a Republican. And I believe a lot of the people that are running, I mean, like I said, I heard who you have on next. I think I just got a text from Robert Moore. Great guys. They're great business individuals. Yeah. We have stuff we can learn from those those individuals. And we all need to be working together.
I like that.
With your approval, I'll bring John on. I'll put him in this.
Absolutely. I like John.
All right. Hey, John, there he's on the air.
Here he is.
Let me do this part of it. I was here cutting promos and doing some paperwork, and I met John when he was with Jeff and Billy. And I thought, this guy's like a reasonable human being, and he's real smart. And I said, what the hell is he doing running for governor? I mean, and that's in the shadow of Victor Marks. So I invited him to come in. He came in studio with Jonathan and I, and he was just a home run. And I'll tell you what was really interesting off-air stuff. And I don't know where it came from, but I had mentioned that John was going to come back and give us an update. I got calls not to have you.
Really?
And they, no, this is serious. And they said, you've already had him on once. We had Altman in studio when Altman was running. We got Barb. We have all these different people.
Bring them all in.
And so I want to say to Victor Marks, I know that you at one time had said you'd come on the show and then decided not to, but that door's open.
Open invitation.
Come on in. Yeah, we want to talk to you. So this is John, who I really like, and congratulations, and you just showed us a picture. Tell that story.
Well, Barb set that up for me, so thanks, Barb.
Yeah, anytime.
And it's a new picture, too. I haven't shown you yet. Next time I'll see you, I'll show you that one as well, because I've got plenty of them. So yeah, just to dovetail on what Barb's been saying.
Well, who's the little girl?
No, the little girl. This is my granddaughter Pearl.
Oh, okay.
So she
beautiful.
was born a little over 2 weeks ago, and haven't seen her in 3 or 4 days. So I got a message from my son-in-law saying, "You haven't seen her for half her life. Where are you?"
I like that.
Love
kid.
it. Love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this is our little one here.
Oh,
so,
man.
But she's
Adorable.
she's.
And you
she's
said born a
fun.
little premature?
She was she was born 3 weeks premature.
Okay.
But she was doing well enough. They kicked her out of the hospital a couple days
Awesome.
later.
looks healthy.
Good
Yeah,
news.
looks
Yeah.
great.
Good news.
So
every
everybody's
baby's
doing
a
well.
blessing.
Everybody's doing
She's
well.
cute too.
Thank you.
How's your week? And compared to ours, how's yours? Remember that?
Mine's good.
Good.
But, I always tend to try and stay on the positive side of things, and now that I have a granddaughter, it's even that much more reason to do so. But yeah, I've had certainly an eventful week as we're getting ready for assembly and getting ready to move forward on a lot of these different issues and really drive a message home to the voters on what we're working to accomplish in the state as we look to move forward. I'm tired of looking backwards. We've done that for many years, and
Agreed.
it's not worked well for us.
But if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going.
True, very
That's-
true. But if you dwell on where you've been, you don't make the progress forward.
But you got to start making gains.
Yeah, you do. And we've taken plenty of steps backwards in the
Yeah,
last few years.
yeah.
And I think that can be pretty easily substantiated to be able to say, look at what the last 8 years have done for us. Look at how many how many industries we've chased out of the state.
But that was I think that's the Singleton point. There is no better time than now.
Yeah.
And what did Reagan say? If not us, then who? If not now, then when? Then when?
Exactly.
Was it one of Reagan's great quotes? All right, you guys, how are you going to do it? You got to make gains.
Absolutely, and that's up and down on the ballot. So it's good to be able to put a stop to the craziness by winning the top of the ticket, but it's also difficult to be able to make all the progress forward if we also can't carry a lot of down ballot as well. And I think that impetus is there, and I certainly think that if we don't put candidates up that continue to talk in tones that are very divisive, if we don't do that, we actually have a legitimate shot.
Yeah.
We actually have a good chance.
And some of the conflict, again, that we have inside our own party in our tent here, when the Colorado Republican Party is actually picking winners and losers before the primaries.
Oh, yeah.
Who they're going to put on the tables, who they're going to list. How do we stop that and just get behind saying, look, we've got a group of people. It's just a free exchange of ideas. Who has the better ideas? Who can we get behind? And stop kicking some to the curb and promoting others.
Well, and
It's not their job to pick winners and losers.
It's a challenge to go through and do something like that, because when you come with a strong message, when you come with a strong background, when you come with capabilities to do things and new ways and new visions and ideas to get things done and make new things happen in the state, if you're not the popular shiny thing in the room, as we talked about last week, I was disinvited from an event up in Weld County because they said, you didn't raise enough money. Well, really, the guy you replaced me with raised a quarter of what I have. So so that wasn't a legitimate excuse. That person now dropped out of the race. So we have to get past the favoritism and get back onto the messaging. And
Barbara, you live. If I could, Barbara, you lived this. When did you see the Republican Party change or morph?
I told you it started morphing in 2010 with that whole thing with Dan Mays and the Tea Party. And again, I appreciate a lot of, especially the fiscal conservative side of what the Tea Party brought to the table, and that was great. But Reagan also talked about the big tent, and that we needed to make the tent bigger, not smaller. And that's what we've been doing for the last 15, 16 years. So there's a lot of work that we can do, but I think, again, I appreciate having John in the race. He makes me think about some different things. He brings in that business perspective, and I think it just makes us all better candidates. And that's why I would say to Victor, start showing up. You're not any better than the rest of us. You need to get there, and you need to start learning how to actually lead and govern.
But
so start showing up.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
I said,
Peter.
that leads, at least me, to a whole different conclusion of what's going to happen between now and next Saturday. That if you tap out, you pull out, what happens to the money? And if you don't have it's convoluted, but it's true.
Very much so.
Yeah. What do you?
And Barb, throwing the same question back to you about the Colorado GOP picking winners and losers, and also I appreciate going out and getting ballots, because to me that's the real grassroots. That's when you're meeting your constituents and your neighbors and your fellow voters.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think petition signature gathering, especially in my case, I do it myself for the most part. I mean, this last race statewide has been a little bit different, but I still went out and collected over 1,000 signatures that I know at least 800 of them were good. Both my daughters went out with me. You know, we're out talking, meeting people at their door. Man, if they're coming to their door and coming out to talk with you, you know that they're going to be engaged and that they're hungry to hear how we're going to turn our state around. And I think that truly is grassroots that gets them involved. They know now, hey, there's a primary coming up. Hey, there's going to be a general election. This is an important year. And I think it just brings more people in.
Barbara,
but hey, guys, I'm sorry. I got to go.
Thank you. Barb, we'll talk again.
Hey,
thank you for your time. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys, too. And thank you, John. I don't mean to steal any of your time, but thank you. Do a good job. I'm sure you will. And, hey, KirkmeyerforColorado.com.
You got it. All right.
Thank
we'll
you
come
so
back
much,
with John.
Barbara.
Everyone hang on. 710 KNUS, Denver's talk station. Coming up, final segment, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, sunny and 64. Easter tomorrow, 70. 67 on Monday. Right back. Charlie Daniels. South's going to do it again. Dickie Betts, all those guys. Pow! First time I met him, the Volunteer Jam at Red Rocks, and he was in town, and I was working with Bob, and Bob and I met this man, Charlie Daniels. He was a good guy.
He was
really.
He was a genuinely good guy.
Good guy, absolutely.
Yep.
It is Saturday, everybody, the 4th of April, and this, I think, next Saturday, I think the guys got the show in Pueblo. I will do their show on Friday. Jonathan's out of town. John will be down there, and so all's well in the world. 303-696-1971. Final couple minutes. John Brooks is with us, who is also running for Colorado governor. We didn't even talk since you're on the show. Tell me your week, and I think I mentioned this for full disclosure. We got phone calls not to have you on the air, which I think is just
all the more reason to have him on.
Exactly. First thing I said was, really?
Yeah, give us a little bit of background and how you're getting on, the ballot, and what your focus is, your key issues.
Well, and first of all, thanks for having me back again,
please.
despite popular, or not unpopular opinion, as it may be.
It's good not to be wanted.
Yeah. Or it's good to be popular. I'm not really sure how that works out in the end. But, we talked last week about a little bit about my background, that I am from a business perspective. I am from an international business perspective. I'm very much the we need to raise money and build Colorado's economy perspective. This last week has been nothing but going to assemblies, meeting with people, talking to an awful lot of folks, working on conversations that we're going to have at the assembly. Just all that prep work. Now the assemblies are pretty much wrapped up for the individual counties. Now we're on to the final.
The big one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I am going to assembly. I'm not doing anything with petition. I'm going straight down there to go right into the hornet's nest and say, all right, here I am. If we want to continue what we're doing as a regular force of nature, well, we're not going to be a force of nature anymore. We're going to lose, and we're going to lose again. I represent something different. I'd like to think that, my perspective and my background from growing up in Boulder and surviving and moving out as a conservative Republican, which there's a lot more of us in Boulder than one may think. But
yeah,
then,
we just hear from the loud ones.
Well,
exactly.
It's the same. It's the same on both sides, right?
Yeah.
It's the bully pulpits are always the top 15% on both sides. But the reasonable that sits out there in the middle, that's the conversation that I want to be having, and be able to say that, look, folks, when we get back into this, we need to take some fresh views, have some fresh faces, have some different ideas, have some different ways of doing things, and ways that can actually go through and inspire the rest of the population. It's not a question of mobilizing the Republican Party. We do that anyway. What do we do to inspire the rest of the state? And that's where I come into play, to be able to say, look, I don't care about your background. If we're going to move education to number one in the state, we do that with a tripartisan group. So when we have to do any legislative changes, by the way, everybody was tripartisan getting us to those changes. I get to own the goalpost. We say we get to number one, that's the goalpost, period. Same thing with the energy grid. Same thing with revising transportation. Same thing with the project that I really want to get off the ground, which is that mountain transit system, so we can take thousands of cars off I-70, finally, for the first time in the last half century that we've been talking about it. But all of that comes with investment. And back of the napkin, haven't done an awful lot of fundraising of international capital and so on over the last 25 or some odd years, and building Colorado labor forces that are internationally competitive and so on. I get that, and I understand that, and I look at the back of the napkin. I think we're somewhere in the neighborhood of probably close to $500 billion that we need to bring up into the state. That's 10 times the existing state budget.
Yeah,
that's the kind of money we need to attract in.
When did you get the spark, or I got to do something to get out of the stance and actually get in the arena?
It really,
what motivated that? How was the decision made?
It's been coming for a little while. So for the last 5 or so years, I've been getting deeper and deeper into certain issues that have been very very close and near to me, which are all in that contract with Coloradans that's out there on my website. So 14 of them altogether, and as I got into this election cycle and started watching the folks that were jumping in, I was looking for the whole package. I was looking for what candidate, regardless of party, but the better ones I saw were on the Republican side, who's going to bring the whole package together. And I didn't see everything. I saw some good qualities in some candidates. I'm out there on the trail with them now. We have a good base out there to work with. We have a good talent base to work with.
But they're not getting the ink. What's the squeaky wheel, right?
Right.
But right now, one of my questions about Victor Marx is, why hasn't somebody like Kyle Clark or somebody in the Denver Post taken him on?
Well, in my opinion, they're waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
They want him to be the nominee.
I
Like we were talking
can't speak
earlier.
for them, but it's awfully telling that
He can get away with it.
yeah, and so I tend to stay away from a lot of that. I just want to focus on the issues that are going to be really important to moving the state forward, and hope that that message, which it seems to be working, hope that that message carries to the wider electorate. And the big wild card for me is, does it carry to the Republicans that are delegates? And because that's always not the same breed as, the conversations that I had in all the county meetings that I've had have not been the conversations that I've had with people that have been out on the streets in the general
Right.
working public. They're not the same thing, and I've told that to different county groups that I've spoken to, saying, look, guys, the issues that we hold near and dear in our meetings, people out in the streets, they don't care about.
No, they don't.
They don't, and that's the bridge that we have to be able to cross, and that's what I'm working to do on our campaign.
And that's why, as sharing with Barb and with you also, that's why I appreciate the petition process. Granted, yes, because the state is so big, you do have to hire where you can to get some folks out there. But I know every crack in that sidewalk in front of King Soopers.
Oh yeah.
All right. And I talk to so many people, and I know that when you get out there as a candidate and you're door knocking and you're petitioning, that's the real grassroots. It's when you're out there among the people, not just a select few that are at the assembly or the caucus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me read this. Things come in. As for Marx, I still know nothing about Marx. I don't understand the charismatic infatuation. I've been involved in charismatic churches for over 40 years. I do not understand their infatuation for the strong man or the shiny candidate. I don't understand the inability to compromise to make changes. That capsulizes the show. That's very wise. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's the consistent thing. We don't know who he is, but we hear a lot about him.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere in there is the real deal, but we don't know what it is.
I've known John a week. I know more about him than I know about Marx.
Yeah,
That's probably because I talk too much.
No, I mean, it just speaks volumes.
you're speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
And having that passion to serve, which I really appreciate. Anybody that gets into the arena, it's a tough go. And you've got to be doing it because it's the right thing to do, not because it's self-serving.
Well, yeah, I'm too old to care about self-serving. It doesn't do me any good. But
Good.
at the same time, I'm well beyond that, and now I've got kids and now grandkids, and that's where the serving comes into play for me.
That better future.
Leave us
Absolutely.
with one thing. We're coming up on time.
The Colorado that I see going forward is a Colorado that is effectively recreated and reborn in a lot of ways, through industry, through growth, through including everybody, through asking everybody to participate. Those are the kind of things that I believe have the opportunity to inspire. We need to get back into the hearts and minds of the younger generations and say, folks, we've got a lot of work to do, and you have a part to play, and here's where it is. Bring your ideas, bring your energy. Let's do all of this together.
You said something great. We don't want to be led. We want to be inspired.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Where are we on time? We're coming up on time. We got a minute. I think I will be doing this Friday, and the fellows will be taking Saturday, and they'll be at the convention. That assembly will be worth its weight in gold. Now, you're going to go.
Yeah.
And you're going to be there.
So going for the full 30%.
Going for the full 30%.
Yeah.
Fight, you know what, or hold the light. It's going to get good.
Well, I will miss you next
I'll talk,
Saturday.
yeah, we'll talk.
We'll be in
talk.
D.C. and New York, but then I'll be back on the 18th, I think it is.
Everybody's good. Take care of yourselves. John, break a leg to so many people that came on and did this radio show. But when you brought Marty on,
That was fun.
I
Quick
sing
plug for my website real quick.
real quick.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much. It's Brooks, the number 4, COGUV.com.
You got it.
Awesome.
Play the music. All right, everybody, hang on. Happy Easter, everyone. I'll see you maybe this Friday, and the fellows, I think, are going to be doing Saturday from the Assembly, and that ought to be worth its weight in gold. Take care of yourselves. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, John. Here we go, everyone. 710 KNUS Denver's Talk Station.